Well, finally, white pills to report. Scotus, the Supreme Court, came down with two decisions that are good for freedom. The first one, of course, being the affirmative action case. They have basically said that race-based college admissions and quotas would no longer be allowed. Everybody knows that affirmative action is complete BS. The fact is that if we were given a choice between a Black doctor and an Asian doctor, every single person would choose an Asian doctor, not because they're inherently better, but because they've been discriminated against in terms of getting into the top schools, whereas the other race has basically been escorted and had the red carpet laid out for them. And this is the problem with affirmative action. The fact is that you immediately become suspicious of those who might be wonderful and well suited for their profession. This is not the case, for example, in basketball, where 73% of NBA players are Black, because we know that affirmative action doesn't take place there. If it did, then by all means, let me apply to be the point guard for the Golden State Warriors, but that's not going to happen because I lack the merit to play at such a level, even though I'm a fairly good basketball player. So fantastic. Affirmative action struck down, and let it remain down for the count. What I can't believe is that Joe Biden, after being asked,
is this a rogue court?
This is not a normal court.
What is this guy trying to do? Is he really trying to delegitimize the court? Then the second decision that I want to talk about specifically is the fact that in Colorado, a web designer was attempted to be forced under law for creating a website for a same-sex couple and state things that she didn't want to. But it's very akin to the Masterpiece Cake Shop owner who has repeatedly gone through the court system because he refused to create a custom cake for trans people or same-sex couples for their wedding. The fact is that nobody should have their labor coerced from them. It doesn't matter whether or not it makes you feel good or not. I, as a Nazi, cannot coerce a Jewish baker to make me a pro-Hitler cake. That doesn't work, does it? I should not be able to coerce speech from you that you don't want to say. This is our First Amendment being upheld and in action. And the fact that it wasn't 9-0 shows you how off the Supreme Court liberal justices are in terms of the reading of the Constitution, in my opinion. And I don't understand how any of them could expect, in order that LGBTQ people be provided with special services, that you're not allowed to refuse business. And I got to be frank with you, I think that anybody should be allowed to refuse service. If a Black person doesn't want to serve me, I can choose to report this to my friends and not use their services in the future and boycott them, but they should be under no obligation to be forced to do business with me. I went to a bank one time and the guy got mad at me and sent me out and would not help me open up a new account. It was the first time that it's ever happened to me. It was right before I was leaving on a trip. And he just, for whatever reason, didn't like me. I must have said something that rubbed him the wrong way. Surprise, surprise. But regardless, that is their prerogative. I think that an individual establishment should be able to discriminate against whoever they want for whatever reason they want. And I don't care, because that is liberty of the individual. You have the liberty to be a jerk, to be an asshole. I'm not in favor of discrimination. I'm saying that people have the right to exercise their freedom of choice and to do what they think fits them. Doesn't mean that you have to frequent the business or that you can't boycott it again. But it does mean that you have freedom of association. And this is what is being deprived by the liberal. Isn't this freedom of speech used to be a liberal argument? Now the right side are the ones who are protecting it from the totalitarians that want to take away our speech, and to be able to coerce your speech, which is even worse than telling you you can't say something, as in Germany, you're not allowed to deny the Holocaust took place, is worse, because you are coercing speech. You are forcing me to do something that I don't want to do. And that is exactly anti-freedom and anti-liberty. So good for the Supreme Court for getting this right. A pox on the 3 justices that voted against it. And in case you're wondering whether or not I think that means that you can discriminate for somebody and against somebody in terms of college admissions? The answer is yes, provided that you take no federal funds. The moment that you take federal funds, the government has the right to dictate that you adhere to the Constitution of the United States, which in this case, the Supreme Court has told us does not support the discriminatory actions of affirmative action in North Carolina University and Harvard. So that is my answer to that. Yes, you should be allowed to discriminate. Yes, I don't favor by any means discrimination of any type, but I do believe that you have the right to exercise your personal choice, your personal freedoms, and I don't want the government taking that away in order to adhere to some policy of compassion, because then we need to have compassion for the Nazi. We need to have compassion for the KKK that wants to make a black baker create a cake for them, exalting the grand dragon. And I don't think that the KKK member should be able to force that from a black citizen or anybody that doesn't want to render that service to him.